Hey everybody, it is on screen back with another episode. We appreciate you guys all watching. All right, Josh, what about you start with yours?
Okay, so my first topic should be a pretty quick one.
Okay.
Depends on how much we talk about it. Uh, I want to talk about the 2025 Masters Golf Tournament. Now, normally I wouldn't talk very much about golf on the podcast because normally I don't watch golf and we talk about our entertainment and how it affects us. But watching golf is boring as heck. I mean, if you are ever wanting to take the best nap of your life on a Sunday, uh, drop the temperature, wrap yourself in a blanket, get a hot chocolate, turn on golf, and you're going to have the best nap of your life. But the 2025 Masters was last weekend,
Hmm?
and it was such an amazing story and display of perseverance and resiliency that I feel like I have to mention it. On top of that, I watched a portion. Never a whole round, but I did watch a portion. So my favorite golfer for like the last 10, 20 years has been Rory McIlroy, and he won this year. Now, this is why it's so amazing to me. He made his first appearance at the Masters at the age of 21. He is 35 now. When he was 21, in his very first appearance, he went into the last day, Sunday, with a 6 stroke lead. He was gonna win. He was the PGA's new prince, right?
Yeah,
Um, he had such a bad round that day, he dropped down to 15th.
that sucks.
He went to the Masters 17 more times. 6 were top 10 finishes. He's finished as high as second, and he is kind of known as like the one who lets it get away in these kind of tournaments. He so often goes in with a lead or in competition for the lead or like in second or third, um, and has a chance to win, but just screws up, right? As aforementioned, he went from first to 15th. That's a big drop. Um, this Sunday, he went into Sunday with a 1 stroke lead that was in competition with Bryson DeChambeau. They both had not very good days. So, somebody who started the day in uh, fifth, he was tied for fifth. At the start of the day, um, Rory was up on this person by 7 strokes. After they each finished their round of 18, they were tied.
Wow.
So once again, Rory was going to let it all go. So in these tournaments, they go to sudden death. Basically, they play the most popular or most famous holes over again until somebody wins. So they start on 18, then they go to 10, and I don't know what the third one is, but it's never really gone further than that, to my knowledge.
Okay.
Um, they went to the 18th, and Rory won. He birdied the hole. Justin Rose parred. So this gave Rory his Masters win. That makes him the sixth player in all of history to get what they call the career Grand Slam, which is winning all 4 major championships at all in their careers. Only 6 players have done that in all of history.
Wow.
That spans over 100 years. 6 players, the Masters tournament, the PGA Championship, the US Open, and the British Open.
Do you know who the other five are?
Tiger Woods was in 2008 or 9 is when he got his. The ones before that were like 1935, 1948, 1980 something.
Okay. And these are winning them period or winning them in the same year?
Winning them period.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
like Bryson DeChambeau has 5 major championship wins, but 2 of them are the U.S. Open, and 3 of them are the PGA Championship, or I don't know which one, but he's never won the Masters and never won one of the other ones. So it's a very incredibly difficult task to do. I've been rooting for Rory for a very long time. Never enough to watch the sport religiously because it's boring to watch. And honestly, the coverage that they do of golf doesn't help.
What do you mean?
So I like Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
I like Bryson DeChambeau. How much of their 5 hours of playing golf on Sunday do you think they were actually shown playing golf?
Probably not a whole lot.
Minutes.
Oh, I didn't think it'd be that short. Wow.
Yeah. The problem is there's 70 people that get to qualify into the Masters or any of these. And while they're playing all day, for whatever reason, they just don't focus on the leaders or those in the lead or the most popular. They feature some guy. Now, the other problem with it is they do 4 hours of coverage on basic TV.
Yeah.
The rest of the coverage was all done on Peacock, the 7th most popular streaming service. So it's not available to anybody. It's boring to watch, and they don't do a good time of it. And the commentators, they speak like golfers, so they don't get really excited or energetic when they're commentating. They're half whispering, and they're like, Bryson DeChambeau steps up to the 18th tee. Let's see what he does.
Do they ever
Right
get
down the
excited?
middle. Yeah, they do.
Okay.
If you watch Tiger when he won the Masters, he had that very famous chip in, and the commentators said that he was going to have to chip and 2-putt, and it was going to ruin his day based on the ball placement and the difficulty of this green. So when that chip went in the hole, everybody was losing their minds, including the commentators, right? But that's maybe once a weekend they will get excited.
That
there are 4 championships, so 4 times a year the commentators give the energy of them being into whatever this is happening. So that being said, Rory McIlroy's achievement is absolutely amazing. It's astounding. I love the perseverance. I love that he's stayed in the sport so long. I've loved watching him grow as a player. He's done a lot of different stuff. So he was the young buck gunner kid who was very exciting to watch, and then he hurt his shoulder, and then he had 4 or 5 years where he just sucked, honestly, and he basically had to reinvent his golf game and start from scratch because he couldn't swing the way that he used to.
And you can see a distinct difference in his swing from now versus before?
I'm sure there are people that can, yeah.
Okay.
I don't pay that close of attention to anybody's swing. And there are golf people who will tell you, well, everybody's just trying to imitate Tiger's swing, which is fair because he's the greatest that's ever done it. So, all that being said, if you are going to watch golf, the Masters is the one to watch. It is by far the best one. It feels the most special. They don't have ads, which is fantastic. So when you go to like the US Open, every tee box is going to have a giant billboard behind the tee box and a camera set up so that it will be the player with the billboard behind him promoting whatever, and there'll be ads all the time, and there's ads all over the course, and sometimes there will be even like, this is the FedEx hole, this is the Amazon hole, this is the, ad
Or
placement.
9 is
If
sponsored by whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So there are ads all over the place, but Masters, not a single ad. They sell for the entire weekend a total of, I think it's 4 minutes of ad time,
Wow.
and it is only just to cover the cost of production to like put it on TV.
Wow.
They don't take
Why? Like, I'm surprised that that's a thing, to be honest. Why?
because it gives them that exclusivity.
Hmm.
They also don't call the people that visit guests; they are patrons, and it is by contract that every player, commentator, everybody call them patrons, not guests or visitors or fans. They're patrons. Um, to be fair, they do make a ton of money, right? They like the other like amazing thing is like their food prices have not changed since the 1950s.
Wow. Wow.
And it's like, well, yeah, they got to be losing money. And it's like, yeah, but how many people go into their pro shop and buy merch that day? The answer is
Probably.
$4 billion worth.
Holy crap.
So, like, they clearly make money, but like, they could make more by doubling down and making money on the food and on the TV rights and all this, that, and the other. But basically, they're like, no, we think it's more valuable to not have that added on and to have kind of this respectful like golf mentality. And like I totally agree. Like the Masters would not be as entertaining to watch if they were like Bryson DeChambeau sponsored by FedEx and TaylorMade this week. Like they've got a point. That does take away from the um, feeling of special. All right. They get a green jacket at the end of if they win, right? The green jacket doesn't actually belong to the player, it belongs to the club.
Really?
Yep.
I
They
didn't
can
know that.
only take it off the course for the first year after they've won. After that, it has to stay at the Augusta course. You can wear it anytime you're at Augusta, and you'll wear it every time you're at the Masters, but only a year are you allowed to take it off the course. Uh, you get your
I
name
think I would kind of
engraved
hate that.
into the silver of the trophy. It's not your trophy. You get a replica of the trophy, but it's not your trophy. It's the course's trophy.
I would hate that.
It's not your jacket. I mean, once you won, you got a year. You can wear it outside the course. You can take it home, whatever. But the next time the Masters is held, you return the jacket.
But that's like your trophy. It's like, hey, guess what,
The
guys? You
trophy
got
is
a
your
gold
trophy,
medal. Here you
and the
go.
$4
Never
million
mind. Next
for winning
Olympics, we're gonna
is
return
your
that. You
trophy.
can have it back. I don't even want it. No, it's dumb.
And you get to be a Masters champion. I don't know. I see both sides of it, honestly.
You're telling me that you wouldn't be a little annoyed if you have to give back your jacket that you won best in the world to be able to wear?
No, honestly, no. Because it's a sport coat jacket, and I don't wear those, so whatever. B, it's green. I don't wear anything green. I don't think there's a single green thing in my closet. So it would be something I wouldn't wear anyway.
If you won one, you wouldn't wear it.
I would wear it when I won it, and I would wear it like the next year when I went back, right? Like there's a Masters Champions dinner where anybody who has ever won the Champions gets to go to it, and the person who won the previous year has to plan it,
Oh,
right? Like I would wear it to that, but would I go to church wearing my Masters jacket? I don't know, maybe one time. Would
what,
I go to work wearing my jacket? No, I would not.
what about golfing? Like you're just doing a normal golf,
No,
nothing.
it's
You wouldn't?
not
Okay.
like it's like a suit jacket,
Okay.
right? You wouldn't wear any jacket like that golfing,
Okay.
right?
That makes sense.
At all. Like you might wear it to the golf course, and then you would go into the locker room and you would take it off and you would put on a polo like a normal human being. You would, yeah.
Is
So it's
is this jacket his jacket, or is this passed down from somebody else who was a Masters?
his. So he is now in the Masters Championship locker room, right? There's a
Okay.
very special locker room that is only for those who have won the championship.
Okay.
He has his own locker and he keeps
Okay.
it in there. So anytime he's at Augusta, he can wear it. Anytime he's there for Masters events, he can wear it.
And that locker will be there till he dies. Even if
Yep.
he wins, it never wins another one ever again.
Yep. It's his
All right.
forever. Right?
Cool.
He no longer has to play in for any major championship for the next 5 years.
Really?
So like the PGA Championship, he doesn't have to play on the play-in day. He can just show up and start playing. Next Masters, he just gets to show up. He doesn't have to do the play-in. He doesn't have to shoot a certain score to make it in. He can just play.
Just show up for 5
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. How many Masters? I'm guessing Tiger won the most. How many has he won? Or was there someone
Uh,
else more?
3 or 4 maybe.
3 or 4? Okay.
He won his last one in 2019. That was his last major win, which was him kind of saying like, "Yeah, I still got it after all the stuff that went down." But I don't think he plays anymore.
Oh. Jack Nicklaus won the most. He won 6.
Yeah, but it was a less competitive time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool. Because Tiger made the game a lot more famous, right?
Tiger made the sport famous at all. If there
Oh,
was no Tiger, we wouldn't be talking about this.
really?
Yeah,
Huh. So it wasn't like the rich person's sport before Tiger?
it was, but it was like the rich of the rich, and it was more of a hobby. And like, yeah, there was the pros, but it wasn't like a big deal.
Okay.
And there was no like TV rights. There was no Golf Channel. It wasn't like a regular Joe. Like I never would have played golf. Could almost guarantee it. Rory McIlroy in his interview afterwards talked about watching Tiger Woods in 1997, and that's what started him to play golf in the first place.
And what was it about Tiger? Like, I get that he was amazing, but if it's a sport that no one cares about,
It's
no one
greatness.
cares about. Just greatness in general?
It is greatness. I don't care what the sport is, but when you see greatness, it captures people.
I guess that's true because basketball wasn't that big before um,
Jordan.
Jordan. Well, I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't that big of
Yeah.
a sport until then.
It was not, right? Like the joke about Jordan's time is that he was playing against farmers,
Hmm.
right? And that's kind of sort of true. It wasn't such a big league that the players were making a lot of money, and a lot of bench players or second team players had second jobs and were just playing NBA on the weekend.
That's wild.
It was a very few set of players in the league at the time that actually full time just played basketball, right? It's definitely different now, right? Um, Brady did amazing things for football. Schumacher did amazing things for Formula One. Hamilton did great things for Formula One. Max Verstappen, as much as I hate to say that, has brought Formula One back in part due to him. Um, yeah, it was absolute greatness. And it was, right, there's all the side reasons for it too, like Tiger's Black. Tiger's Black, and he's sponsored by Nike. Nike isn't a golf brand at all, right? Tiger's family wasn't rich as he was growing up, to my knowledge.
So it could be more of like an accessible, you could be Tiger too kind of a deal.
Yeah. And like golf is one of the most popular sports right now.
Yeah.
Like every state in the country has multiple golf courses, which you think, oh yeah, cool. But then you think about like Alaska. Like, why does Alaska, a place that snows 9 months out of the year, have a golf course, much less more than one, you know?
Yeah. Just doesn't seem very smart.
Yeah, it's way more accessible now. We have stuff like Top Golf, right?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff stems because Tiger was as great as he was.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I watched the last hit for Roy. It just happened to be on the TV while I was walking past, and his little speech after. And you just tell how much it meant to him. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like getting all that context of like he was there 17 times. Twice he came in second. Once he came in third. He has been so close to tasting it. And he had the perseverance to keep going. And that is amazing.
Do you think this will make him even better moving forward? Or will he have hit the goal and maybe slip up?
His goal is to return and win the jacket the second time. He says in his acceptance speech that he wants to put the jacket on himself this next time, which means he'd have to win next year because it's the previous champion who puts the coat on the current champion.
You know if anyone's actually done that?
Yeah, the whatever his name did it last time.
Oh, okay.
Spieth? I don't remember what his name is. He won 2 in a row. He put his jacket on himself last year. So he actually has 2 jackets. They didn't give him the same jacket. He's got 2.
Yeah, 2 jackets. That's pretty cool. He puts a jacket over his other jacket.
Right. You know, it's cool. It's cool to see all the green, right? Like all the people in the stands are wearing their green jackets. All of the patrons in the audience are wearing as much green as they can. Did you know that they have a copyright on that exact color of green?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So like nothing can be that exact color of green. That is Augusta green, and nobody else can use it for any reason. You cannot buy a jacket in that exact color.
You buy like paint at Lowe's. They have so many paint colors. There's got to be that green.
I'm sure that you would have like it doesn't extend to that extent, right? Like you could have it in movies and stuff, but like you and I just can't go out and buy a jacket or a coat or pants or whatever in that color of green.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Well, guys, that went a little bit longer than I expected, but that was honestly super interesting. Let me get to my first topic, which is wildly different. The Forever War. It's an audiobook. It's a sci-fi epic from the 70s, 80s. And the author was a Vietnam vet, and he came back home and was very disillusioned with the entire idea of the war. He was the kind of vet that got spit on and told that he was like a baby killer and all this type of stuff. He goes through some PTSD. He Like he really struggles. He gets completely railroaded. And you can read in the book how that he really thought about how hard and how terrible war can be. The book starts with a your main character, and he's going to this elite training type program, kind of like your Navy SEAL or something like that. And you go to these planets where time moves slower, and the temperature is either extremely hot or extremely cold. Is the way that these planets work in this universe. And you have these suits that if there's any kind of damage to the suit, you can overheat and die instantly. I haven't really thought about the fact that space doesn't have air, so you don't get any heat dispensation in space. You have to figure out a way to cool the body. And this book does a really good job of describing that and how hard that is for these people during war times. So there's an instance where he he just has this weird feeling. He's looking at one of the people that he's in a SEAL type team with, and he's looking at them. He's like, "You just seem hot. Something's wrong." And they check the fins on on his back that are dispensating the heat, and one of them is bent just a little bit. So it is slowly like a frog heating up more and more and more and cooking this guy from the inside. So while they're on the battlefield and there are aliens coming at them, he has to figure out a way to get him out of this suit in a depressurized zone with no air and put him in a new suit before he cooks to death. And it's an absolutely awesome scene. They do a really good job in this book of showing war on a multifaceted level. So you're dealing with little things like being able to handle heat, or these suits make their bodies more alive, but that's something that they have to learn to handle because like something as basic as itching your back can literally cause damage to you because you have so much more strength than you're used to, and they have to figure out how to train with this. They have to figure out how to fight on different levels. So you're not fighting just on horizontal and vertical planes. You're fighting diagonally. You're fighting in different ways than we normally think. I was thinking about this, and with anime, something I kind of have a problem with is they always just fight like they're fighting on the ground, but they're leveled up just a little bit. And why do you fight that way when there's so many different planes that you can fight at? There's so many different ways to fight. I loved Ender's Game when I was a kid, and one of the things that I loved about it, I know you don't like the book. I like the fighting scenes because it has you think in different planes, and it was the first time in my little brain where I thought about how much more elevated that could be, and I thought that was really cool. This book does a really good job of hitting that aspect. Now, they're in kind of a time dilation type of a thing, and they do a good job of dealing with the aspects of time with the rules that this book follows because you're dealing with like they have to plan for a missile hit that hasn't actually launched yet because time hasn't caught up with them yet. And they do a really good job of folding all of that together and helping you try to understand it. It's something you have to pay attention to, but it's followable. One of the interesting aspects of time dilation that I've never really seen them deal with before is they're fighting this war and they're going to this training. Back home, time is moving faster. So they're told, you know what? You're going to work for 8 months, and then back home it's going to be 10 years. We'll have your pay sitting in a bank. It will be collecting interest. You're going to make so much money. And that's part of the sell of going to this war. But then they come back home, and there's been so much inflation that they aren't really making that much money. Everything's just too much more expensive. So they go back home, and they're poor. And it's been 10 years, and technology has changed, and the people have changed. They're not into this war anymore. They left as heroes. They come back as the villain. Very much a Vietnam reflection. Um, and he comes back home, and everybody just hates him. He doesn't belong, and he gets this sense of PTSD, but doesn't really even understand the word PTSD because their culture, when he left, was so focused on war. It was how they made money. Earth was in this debt crisis, and they needed a perpetual war to be able to fund society. So he goes out and he does his part, and he comes back and he just gets spit on. They do really interesting things with brainwashing and how it like how the military just like grabs him and takes him in. There's a part that's fantastic where they're going and they're fighting the alien species and they do a trigger phrase, and the trigger phrase makes everybody including him just go berserk and absolutely decimate the alien side. And they ask a question after where they say, how do we know if we're really the ones that want to re-enlist? Because they're talking about going home, or if there's just some trigger phrase that's making me want to re-enlist. How do I know that I'm actually me? And it's this constant question throughout this series of like, what makes a person? What makes society? What makes things right? And he digs into it more and more and more throughout the story. Towards the end, he goes in completely he evolves this idea in an even larger, grander scope. It gets to where there's clones and like, are clones all the same? Are clones different? Do we need some kind of hive mind to actually perform well as a society? The aliens that we're fighting against, they have a hive mind and they seem to be more civil than we are. Their society seems to function instead of constantly having to be manipulated. Is that what we need to do to be able to proceed forward? This book, while very good, has so many ideas in it that you don't get to explore all of them fully, even though they're really, really interesting ideas and they're really well done. I honestly would love a series of these books because he has so many ideas and it deserves a series. But we have the one book. And the one book is great. I thought it was really good, made me think a lot, made me examine beliefs a lot, made me expand my ideas a lot. Um, but in the end, you're left with one book, and the book. Now, I kind of want to get to the part that I think a lot of people won't like. There's an aged aspect to this book. Um, Part of the indoctrination of the war is that they are having too many human beings. So Earth actually focuses people on becoming gay so that there's not an overpopulation aspect. And it is you have all these other side topics that are very interesting sci-fi ideas, and then you have this one idea that gets focused on quite a bit. And I think the idea is very much issued in the time. It's very much part of the 70s with the way the author is thinking. So you don't get as much nuance, even though the initial idea is really interesting. Like, what if we got overpopulated? And that was a way that you could deal with overpopulation, is by promoting those ideas. That's an interesting aspect, but he doesn't have the nuance of a modern day to be able to really dig into that. So it just kind of comes across as main character isn't gay and he doesn't belong in the rest of society because he's not willing to act that way, and that makes him righteous in a group where they're not being righteous. And it's kind of the lowest part of the book when they could have dug into that idea more and made it more interesting. But overall, that's my biggest negative of the book. Still very glad I read it. Very interesting.
I will not listen to or read that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of it was like, nah? For me,
It's
it's
it's sci-fi history, and that doesn't appeal to me at all.
okay. Have you ever read any sci-fi book?
Yeah.
What have you liked any of them?
Yeah.
Which ones?
I don't know off the top of my head, but like
Okay.
that is just blatantly Vietnam history. Like all of those ideas are metaphors for propaganda and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if you really want to explore those ideas, you can just research Vietnam and Korea.
I agree, but I think this is put in a way that is very digestible, and very effective with its communication of these ideas. Of the
There
ideas.
are tons of history, but like it sounds not that way, right? When I'm talking
Yeah.
about history, what you're imagining is like On the 24th of July, 1986, during the Vietnam War, we had a conflict between the American people and the Vietnamese where right? But like history is so much deeper and more real than that like you can watch movies based in Vietnam where they explore those ideas, probably not the most historically accurately, but they explore those ideas, right? Um,
Yeah.
there, you can go in and you can read books from the points of views of soldiers where they're talking about like who am I really, right? Because when you join the army, what is their mentality? We're going to break you down to nothing so that we can
Build you
build
up
you
with
up,
what
right?
we want.
Yeah. So a
Yep.
lot of soldiers have that question. Do I really want to reenlist? Or do I just feel like there's no other options? Who am I? Right. So that is excellently explored in the show SEAL Team, where the guy who plays Booth in Bones is like, I'm old, but like I don't really know anything else, and like I should be with my family, but like I am a SEAL, right? Like all of those concepts and all of those ideas tie so blatantly into actual war and that kind of stuff. And your negative of them focusing on the society making them gay and that kind of stuff. That is also just history.
What do you mean?
Historically, when a group of people is reaching an overpopulation concern, or like, so if you follow the 200-year cycle of like world powers,
Yeah.
towards the end, population, economy, and sexuality are always main concerns. And they do start to promote homosexuality and that kind of stuff, and to be
Do you
gay
think
and that
that
kind of
that's the
stuff.
society or just a natural aspect of being affluent? And
I
that's
think
part of the
that's
argument of this book is like, is that just the influency or is it actually a propaganda choice?
I think there's it depends on where you look historically or and all that kind of stuff. But like that is a natural thing that seems to happen in history. Like you don't think about the Greeks reaching overpopulation issues because when they were reaching that problem, it was like the 1300s or whatever, and everybody's wearing togas and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, yeah, there's still plenty of Earth to explore, but like housing is so much more expensive to build and maintain during that time. Roads, how do you feed these people? Like we have such idealized crop growing, right? Like we can feed ourselves in today's day and age with less space than was farmed back then. They didn't have that. They didn't have like tilling and all of these nutrients to soak into the ground to make, right? Like, so they would have to farm this field and then let it sit for 3 years while they move down the fields. And so like they were experiencing overpopulation. Same with Rome, same with France, same with Britain. Like it's happened way too many times in history to call it a coincidence. And whether or not people are consciously at the top saying, hey, we're facing overpopulation, this is a way to maintain it, or that's kind of a natural progression that people just kind of like start doing and then it is pushed consciously, I don't think really matters. But it is a thing that just happens in history. Like that is to me the most compelling part of the book that you told is your negative.
Interesting. Okay.
Because
Well,
like
it's
that
a
is a
large
more
section of the
interesting
book.
thought is
It is an
to
interesting thought.
actually explore like are the people at the top consciously doing that and could they have historically. While that's the most interesting, I still think I would prefer just learning more actual history.
By history. Okay. Fair enough. I liked the way the ideas were conveyed, but I can understand your point of view because there are a lot of There are a lot of different resources that you can reach out for similar ideas.
Yeah. Like, watch MASH. I bet if you watched the entire show of MASH, you would get through 90% of those ideas.
Not as deeply as this book
There's a lot
takes
of
it to.
MASH.
I've seen all of MASH, but I could be forgetting. But I don't remember it being as profound as this. But I also was younger and wouldn't have grasped some of the nuances, so it's possible.
Yeah. Like, they definitely have identity crises and individualism and groupthink. Like, yeah. As for like a hive mind, that to me is just a metaphorical of more compliant soldiers, right? People at the top are always right. Like, so you kind of get that idea in real history too. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you listened to it. I'm glad you liked it. What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
So I was conflicted with this one because the main character is very much just a vehicle to tell a story and to embrace the ideas. I thought the ideas were very interesting and very well done to the point of being like a 9. The character is like a 6. The plot moves at like a 7. The environment is probably an 8. They do some cool stuff with space, maybe an 8.5. So together, somewhere in the 8,
Okay,
somewhere like that.
that's
It's
pretty
very
good.
broken up into different aspects.
So you would listen to it or read it again?
Yes, I would.
Okay,
It had enough interesting aspects for me to dig into it again.
okay. So that's pretty good rating, honestly. That is
Yeah,
pretty good. Um,
it's a good book. It's a good book that I would have to be in the mood for because it has a very specific tone.
okay, yeah,
Very specific. If you're into deep people watching, if you're into deep sci-fi themes and thoughts, it's worth your time. It's worth giving a shot. If the gay thing bugs you too much, I think it's focused on a little bit more than it needs to be, and it might just not be for you.
again, I really think that your author is just telling history from a sci-fi point of view, and I get that like a ton of sci-fi does that.
Yeah,
But just you giving me the synopsis and me being a history guy, I'm just seeing it so blatantly as a ripoff
that you're
and
like,
not so
nah.
much original think. But no.
Yeah. All right, with that, let's go to your sci-fi epic.
Oh yeah, this is epic. Okay, this is the coolest sci-fi. Uh, I want to talk some more about Star Citizen. This game continues to get better and run better and be just fun. Yes, it has problems, but I played on my own for a while. There are some missions currently where you have to gather 7 data pads from what they call contested zones.
Okay,
These areas are PvPvE, so
okay.
you'll encounter other players there as well as NPCs that will shoot back at you. And there are a lot of players searching for these data pads and wanting them because at the end, if you collect all 7, you can go to a zone, another contested zone, and turn them in and get a ship for free. So the first thing I want to shout out is people saying that you have to pay to get into the game because literally collecting 7 data pads and turning that in will get you a ship for free and a pretty dang cool one. It's randomized between 5 different ships, and
Cool.
they are all very cool ships. The
Cool.
group I've been playing with were like, "Oh, I hope I don't get this one. This one's dumb." And I'm like, "You're getting a unique ship, right? It comes with its very own paint job that is specifically for doing this. People can't buy to have this, and you're complaining about it. That's dumb, and it's free." Okay, and you think to yourself, "Okay, well, I bet Josh played like 100 hours to get the ship for free." I played 2 sessions. That's all it took me. It was 2 play sessions to get this
Wow.
ship for free. Um, I was having a hard time getting the last data pad. I ran into a group of 3 players. They kept killing me in the contested zone. I revived. I was hanging out when another solo player was about to head in. I chatted with him, and I just to kind of say like, "Hey, there's a group of 3 in there. They're wrecking. You may not want to go in just yet. You may want to give it some time so they can either move on or whatever." And he decided that he was like, "Hey, why don't you join me? Why don't we go in and go 2v3?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot. I've got nothing to lose at this point." So we went in 2v3. We came out on top. Suck those guys. They can eat. They suck. Haha. But it finally gave me the last data pad. It was awesome. In another play session, I was with my regular group of spaceship players. It was just 2 of us at the time. We were trying to get data pads. One guy came in and killed us. And we went in to get revenge, and he killed us again. And he was definitely injured from that first fight, and I was pissed. So we reached out and we were like, "Dude, what the heck?" And like right now, everything's like account bound, so you're not supposed to like steal their armor and stuff. But he stole my gun, so I was like, "I want my gun back." It's a very cool like laser gun that you can't just like buy; you have to like find it. And I was using it because it was account bound. I shouldn't be able to lose it. But he took it from me. So I was like, "Dude, how did you do that? That is so not cool." And he actually replied, and he was like, "Oh, well, why don't you just come back and get it? I'll give it to you." And we were very hesitant, but we went in and he gave us the gun and he joined our party and we went and got data pads with him. And now he's on our Discord and is like actively talking about spaceships all the time on it. And he's like,
That's
"I'm
so
so
cool.
grateful I found a group of people to play this because I was just solo before. I always wanted people to play with." And like, it is just so cool, right? Like, you have the space, like, you have the spaceships and you have to EV through space, right? So you've got zero gravity, and then you land, and then you have PvPvE stuff that you have to do, and you're trying to get all of this stuff done.
Mhm.
And no other game does this stuff, and no other game has this like level of quality and detail that they put into it. Like, I get it, it's totally broken, but like, I've watched videos that talk about like how Skyrim and Oblivion were so great because you had like interactable objects where if you like swung your sword at the table in most modern games, like nothing happens, but in Skyrim, the like plates and stuff go flying.
Yeah,
You have that in Star Citizen.
that's cool.
And
That's
in
cool.
Star Citizen, you have 2 galaxies that have their own biomes on planets and moons that you can all explore. And like, it's all live. It's not like there's loading screens. You just can go from planet to planet and you have all of these tools and things that you can do. And it's so just awesomely cool. Like,
Are there any RPG type elements? Like, are you leveling up a character in any way?
so that hasn't been implemented yet
Okay.
fully. So you do level up. There are certain groups within the game. So like the the Planet Crusader has its government. So if you do missions for them, it's called Crusader Security. You build up your reputation with them, which gives you access to different missions. In Pyro, you have what's called the Headhunters and the Citizens for Prosperity. And I had been pushing to get my rep in for Citizens of Prosperity up, where I became an ally to them. But because I was an ally to them, the headhunters then had a different mission for me where they were like, "Hey, you can land in citizen controlled space now. If you kill this guy, we will give you a ton of credits, like
That's very cool.
113K, which is a lot. Most missions pay like between 5 and 15. So just a crap ton of money. And I was like, "Okay, so if I get spotted doing this, it's going to tank my Citizens of Prosperity rep. It's going to do it. It's going to ruin it. But it's 100K. So I was like, yo ho ho, I'm a pirate now and I'm going to take the money. And so I went into that base and I killed that guy. And then I got the crap out of there because I got spotted and there was like tons of guys trying to kill me. I was like, oh, nope, oops, get out of here as fast as possible. Just, it's awesome. The fact that, like, there's the jail system that's in it too. And I know I've talked to you about it before, but like, you can go to jail and then you can escape jail, or you can like serve your sentence in time, or you can do some mining to reduce the amount of time that you're there. It is also just so cool. Again, like, I know they're going to add more MMORPG stuff, and some of that is going to be really good for it, and some of it is not going to be really my thing. Like, I have never really loved an MMORPG. They're all such like time sucks.
They are.
And it's just ridiculous, and like, I hate how like you can max level your character and still be considered like this puny, worthless thing because you didn't go farm for this ultra rare piece of equipment. I don't think this is going to get to that point. I hope not, because that would be dumb. But it's so cool the way it is now. I'm so excited for what it has to come. I'm excited for the stuff that they're putting into it. Like I said, I hope they rein it in from the MMORPG regular stuff at least a little. They're adding things that I know I'm not going to like engineering in ships. So they've already started implementing stuff for that, where you have to maintain certain, like, so they've implemented fuses is what they've done so far. And basically how it's going to work, or how I'm guessing it's going to work, is like your engine's fuse can blow and you're going to have to decide if you want life support or shields. And you're going to have to move the fuse physically, which means you're still going to be taking damage during this time. And, right, I am not going to love that aspect of it.
I think that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, but I would rather just like electronically be like, I want the power to go to here.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to like go through the animation of getting out of my seat and walking across the ship to grab the fuse for the shield system and take it up to the point where the engines is like. I'm not going to have very much fun with that. I'm going to be very irritated with that. If I could just click a button and be like, okay, I get it. I only have a certain amount of power. My power just
you have
dropped.
to manage that power supply, like between weapons and shields.
Yeah, like, okay, I can deal with that. It's not my favorite thing, but like, I can deal with that. But it will add some other cool stuff that I think will be lots of fun. Like, if you take out somebody's engines, but not to the point where they're broken, but to the point where the fuse is busted, you could board the ship and steal the ship and use its own engines to fly away. Right? That would be pretty cool.
Would be pretty cool.
Right? So they're doing a lot of really cool stuff with this game. It's a gorgeous game. Like, I've taken more screenshots of this game, just amazed at its beauty, than I have any other game.
Is it prettier than Ghosts?
No, but it's close.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Right, and it's pretty in a different way. Like in Ghost, you're like, oh my gosh, look at this flower field. This is so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, look at those colors. In this one, you're like, I'm a spaceship in atmosphere of this planet, and I can see a lake over there. And if I look up, I can see a space station. And behind that space station, I can see another planet. And this is all actual real time placement of these things. It's not like that. And it's also cool that I can be like, not only can I see it, I can go to it.
That is cool. That's really cool.
and I don't have to sit through a single loading screen. Not a one. It's all very cool.
That is cool. It's like the ultimate. You can see it. You can go there. Dream.
Yeah. And you can do whatever you want. You can be a pirate. You can be a medic. You can be you know, you can do whatever you want, which is just so cool. And like, I know a lot of people are going to be like, No Man's Sky. I was like, no, this is more detailed, more beautiful, and more amazing, and has more stuff than No Man's Sky does.
When was the last time you played No Man's Sky? Because that game changes all the time, a lot.
It does, but it doesn't have all of this stuff, and it definitely has loading screens.
Okay, I haven't played it in years. Like it's been a really long time.
I
So I
haven't.
don't know
I've.
why.
They did have one major update this year or the end of last year. I don't remember when it was. I haven't played that, but before that, I have played it
Okay. Okay.
up to that point. And like, yeah, it's No Man's Sky is cool. The other game I can't remember the name of. It starts with an E. It doesn't have any of the in-person stuff. You're just in a ship the whole time. And Eve Online is an MMORPG, and it sucks, and I hate it. But yeah,
Very cool. Very cool. I'll try to get into it again. See if maybe it's better. Because I do it sounds cool. Like it legitimately sounds cool. Anyway, let's go to our shared topic from season 3. We can kind of go back and forth on this one a little bit more. I liked this season, even though literally when we watched last season, I said I need some answers. And I guess we kind of got one, but we really didn't get that
we got
many.
a lot of answers.
We got
We got so much information.
one big answer. We got one big answer. Maybe a
We
few
got
little
tons of
small.
answers. Tons of answers.
I mean, we got the whole mom and dad are our mom, the mom and the um, tech guy are kind of like reliving their life, and they have a daughter there thing, which was huge. That's a huge answer. That's the big one that I can think of.
But what about the implications of that?
It's massive. It's a
How
massive. It's
many
a
other
massive answer.
characters are have been there before?
That's true. We don't know. No idea.
We've got some pretty good hints, though.
I mean,
We've got a lot of information.
the
And
what
what
is her
about her
name?
daughter, Jenny, whatever her name is?
Yeah. What about her? What do you
The
mean her?
older sister. She can time travel.
Oh yeah. That's pretty wild.
She is the one who dropped the rope so that Boyd could get out of the pit.
Yeah, which we don't completely know all that either. Like that adds a lot of questions, like a lot of
It
questions.
does,
But
but it
yeah,
gives us so much information at the same time.
there is a lot of information there. That's true. That is true. I'm discounting that one a little bit because there are a lot of questions with that, like a lot. But that was pretty crazy. The ending scene was not what I expected at all, in any way, shape, or form.
I
Of
was not
her,
either. I am in shock that the dad was killed.
I was kind of hoping the dad was going to die because he's not my favorite character, but I didn't think they were going to do it.
He was like number 6 on my list of predicted deaths.
Really?
Yeah. Topping my list is Jade and Boyd.
Okay.
They're the ones who are constantly pushing boundaries and constantly asking to die. The dad is literally like, keep the family together, keep the family together, keep the like. He's such an easy guy to root for, and he's not like the main focus, but he's also like important enough that I was like, there's no, I don't think they're gonna kill him. Like they'll kill Boyd before they, and then they killed him.
I didn't think they were going to kill Boyd. Boyd wouldn't have been on my list. They've had too many opportunities to kill him. I thought for sure they were going to kill douchebag guy. What is his name? Randall. I thought Randall was going to die for sure. Like was dead, gone. I'm kind of shocked he's not dead, to be completely honest.
He was number
Um,
3 on my list.
I thought Ellis was gonna die, and then I gave a shot for Victor to die. Actually, with the dad coming back, I was like, yeah, maybe. Oh, and then I thought Sarah was gonna die too.
Sarah was the next one on my list. I didn't think
Okay.
Ellis was gonna die. They've
I thought they
built
were.
him up to too
Yeah.
much to be the sister's friend kind of person.
I was
Weird
thinking they
relationship.
would have him die, and that was kind of like the final breaking point for Fatima. Fatima, yeah, that's her name.
Mm.
That's kind of what I thought they were going to do with that, but they didn't. Fatima also possibly being a mother, and maybe the mother of the person that she regave birth to, or whatever the hell that was, would be interesting too, because she might be a reliving person, whatever the frick you want to call it, a second life person. I don't know.
Reincarnated.
Reincarnated. That's what it is. Reincarnated person. I don't know. Interesting. Yes, answers, but there's a lot of questions that come with those answers. Like a lot. A lot, a lot,
Okay.
a lot.
I see on your notes you have some questions. I have
Yeah.
some answers for you. Let's go
Okay.
over those.
All right. First one. I've wondered why they didn't attack the animals for a really long time. Like a really long time. Since the beginning of the show. And they finally addressed attacking the animals. But why do they have so few animals? Yes, they've been farming for a couple years, but you can build up a pretty good herd pretty fast, and you need food. So why are you not farming more animals when they're not attacking the animals? Doesn't make any sense. I
Okay,
don't
my
really get that.
response to that is they have only been farming for like 2 years at most. How long do you think it takes to breed animals?
So if you started with like 2 cows, which also where the freak did they get these animals? But
Also
if
was
they
addressed.
when did they address where they got the animals?
The
I don't remember that.
flashback for Boyd when he was with his wife and kid, when he was literally exploring the forest and came back and was like, "Look, I found a goat. There's also chickens out there."
I
And
don't
then
remember that at all.
Boyd's son comes up to him and is like, "You need to take mom more serious. I think she's losing it." And he's like, "No,
So
she's fine."
how long has Boyd been there at this
Like
point?
2 years.
Only like 2 years? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
fair. Because I was
so,
like, if it's been 5 years, you could make a pretty good herd of animals in 5 years. You really can.
I mean, sort of like, again, you're starting with 2 cows, and I
Yep.
like let's assume they found 2 cows, right?
Yes.
There's 3 cows shown in the show, so they have 3 cows. Like that seems like a right amount of cows for the amount of time, and
If
also
it's only been 2 years, I agree.
like, what if they found only female cows?
That would be a problem.
What if
Can't
they
really
found
have big
only
cows.
female goats?
That's true too. It's
Right? Like
possible.
they have 5 or 6 goats or whatever was shown in the show. I don't really know, but like
And I never saw a bull. I never saw a
there
male
was no
cow.
bull. Yeah, so
There
I'm
wasn't a
assuming they
bull.
just have the 3 cows, and like they're kind of just stuck with that, you know?
Yeah. That's possible. It's possible that they were only given females from whoever gave them animals.
Well, they're okay. So full disclosure, I went down a From rabbit hole after season 3, where I
Okay.
watched probably 12 YouTube videos about theories and things.
Okay.
So I could talk a little bit about the theories that I've come up with thinking about it, but they've pointed out a lot of details that I missed. So for example, with the animals,
Yeah.
when we're in Boyd's flashback and he finds
Mhm.
the goat has a collar and a leash already.
Interesting.
Boyd would not have gone into the forest with a leash and a collar.
No way.
Okay, then we fast forward to season 3, and we have those like house things
Mhm.
next to the lake with all of the things.
With all
And
the
it's like,
fruits and vegetables and all that.
yeah. Those are farmed fruits and vegetables, and there is a corral there. So there's a theory that like that's where the previous town was in like the 1900s. If you look at the main the, Jade's reincarnated wife, that mom.
Yeah.
If you look at her in the lighthouse going up the stairs, there's a bunch of dates. And it's like the first date is like 6 years after Columbus discovered America. So the theory right now is like each date is each range of lives for what's happening here. So it was like 1952 to or 1752 to whatever, right? So the theory right now is those are ranges, right? So the theory is that that little area is where like one of the previous from like the 1800s people came into this town and put the farm there, and then that's where the animals would have gotten out of and like survived on the in the forest from that area. But anyway, that's just a side little thing. But
And like they escaped from that time period to this time period, kind of an idea,
it's not
or no?
different time periods. It's not like parallel universes. The theory is like I don't want to get into too much of like the theory of like how everything started,
Yeah.
but the idea is that like this place has been in America,
Okay.
and the first group of people here did something, and then they all died off or found a way out. We don't really know. But because a certain thing wasn't accomplished, then those people were reincarnated, specifically Jade and the mom, that are spiritual together.
Father, mother, people. Yeah.
Husband, wife. That's what it is. Their husband. Like that's not negotiable. That's what they are. Um, they've been reincarnated over and over and over again, each of these times, and
Interesting.
they're going to continue to do so until they accomplish this mystery task that people are
This
theorizing.
goal of saving the kids, whoever the kids are.
Yeah.
And then, so do you think that the mom that Victor's mom was one of these reincarnated people too, because she was trying to save the
Absolutely.
kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is also one that I believe is confirmed.
And do you think that the reincarnated version of her is inside of this village right now?
I think she's the mom.
You do think that she's the mom instead of?
Hold on. Let me get the characters cast pulled up so I can give you the names. Tabitha
Yeah.
and Jade.
Yeah.
Tabitha is Victor's mom, and a previous version of her is the other person that we were talking about.
Very cool. Very cool. I could definitely see that. It seemed like it was pointing that way.
I'm pretty sure that's confirmed.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm like 100% sure that Tabitha is Victor's mom.
Which would make sense with their connection and everything that's gone on with the story. That works.
Yeah.
That works. Okay. Um, I had a couple other things. This one's small, but I do wish that their clothes were a little bit more dirty. They look brand new all the time, and it would just be a little detail that would be nice to have worked out. Like it's a small thing.
My answer to that was they wash their clothes and is an active part of the story that they've told.
I know that they've washed the clothes, but clothes still wear out. They just do, and they're doing some hard labor and stuff in these clothes. I think that they would be a little bit more worn than they are.
What
It's a
hard
small
labor
thing.
are they doing?
They should be doing hard labor because if they're not, like gardening and all that stuff, like moving dirt, digging holes in basements. All of these different things they would have to do to survive are not easy little things. They don't have tractors to dig for them.
May I point to your previous complaint about them not farming enough? Like, they do farm, but it's not like they farm in excess like they should.
I
They
know
have
that.
clearly stated that they do just enough to get by.
But everything that they would do would have to be physical. They're going to have to do physical labor for everything they do, which they don't show enough in this show
But they,
to
I
survive.
don't think they do very much.
But they'd have to, otherwise they would die.
No, they do some light gardening. A person takes care of the animals, and that person had pretty ratted clothes, and the rest of them just hang out and talk all the time. Like, look at Jade's character. Like, what hard labor does he do in the show?
But
Nothing,
that
because
doesn't
he's
make a lot of sense. Like animals wise, um, I think it's something like to feed 100 people, you need something like 50 cows. I looked it up before we were doing the podcast, written it down, and they don't have near that much. I'm gonna look it up right now. How much
they
garden do you
don't
need to
eat
feed a
the
person?
animals.
How much garden do you? So garden size for one person, you generally need 1 to 200 feet. And there are how many people you think in town? 30
Sure,
more,
yeah,
50,
30, 40 maybe.
40. That's a
Probably
decent
40 after the bus gets there.
that's a decent sized garden that you need to be able to feed everybody. Plus the cows, plus all that. Like it would be a lot of work. And I don't think they show how much work it would actually be. And
They
yes,
definitely don't.
it works a little bit better when they find the produce inside of the forest and it's just magically like giant produce. That works a little bit better. It does. But they would just be a little bit more worn out and consistently busy than they show that they are.
I think you're also discounting the fact that everybody who's there brings stuff in.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
Boyd has only been there for like 2 years, which means they've only been farming for 2 years. Before that, they were literally scavenging for food,
Yeah,
right? I think there
somehow.
is an element of the town does provide stuff.
I mean, we've obviously seen that with the garden that's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
But they should show that and answer that a little bit more because that's just like a basic fundamental to live.
Yeah, but it's just logistical. And, like, again, it wouldn't take everybody in the town, right? Not everybody, even if they did show that they were farming acres of land to feed everybody, right? Those acres of land for the 40 people is going to be taken care of by like 5 of them at most.
Maybe, maybe. I think you'd have to have people who are mending clothes. You'd have to have people who are being the
Yeah,
doctor.
hard
You'd have to have
labor,
people
mending
who are
clothes. Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. And I personally would just like if they showed that a little bit more. Um,
I don't think it plays into the story, but okay.
I don't think I don't think it would take that long to show some of these things. It would make it feel more realistic. Um, okay, my next one is I've wondered why they haven't attacked the animals for a really long time. Why do you think they finally did that?
It was blatant. It was to get Boyd out. Like, it was 100% a trap that they pulled. Like, what do you mean?
But like kill the animals, then the humans starve and they suffer and they lose hope.
You
What
assume that
is
their goal is to kill the humans.
they're trying to have the humans lose hope, and what is less hopeful than having no food?
No, they want the humans to have hope.
I don't think so. They seem to
I
really want to break
100% do.
Boyd
Yeah, they want to
and
break him.
break.
You can't break somebody who has no hope.
I think I can kind of see that
And again,
argument.
you're assuming that that's their goal,
I am
right?
assuming that their goal is to break people, which it seems like it is. It seems like that is the goal of this place. But that is a seems like for sure.
I don't think that that is the full story. Like I think that plays a role, but like we have this idea of reincarnation, right?
Yeah.
And we have the dates of the thing, and we also have the cave paintings under the town, right?
Yes.
And we also have people saying like Victor when he's like, last time we had two cars here, everybody died. And we have the boy in white saying things are different this time, right? So we have an idea, a pretty strong suggestion that this place works in some cyclical fashion. So, like, I don't think the monsters are trying to kill everyone or do all of these things, especially not as fast as possible, right? There's a ritual that had definitely happened. There's the role that the like ghost kids play. Um, there's like how are they going to save the kids? I think it's pretty clear that saving the kids will break the cycle. Uh, right? I've seen
Yeah.
people say that like each cycle is between the two dates on like it's there's a certain number of dates and this one to this one is the first cycle, this one to the right. And I've seen
Yeah.
people say each date indicates the first of the cycles,
Mhm.
right? Um, we have stuff like Jade magically hearing the music, right? So his reincarnated version remembers the song from his previous life, you know? So, and we also have the guy in yellow at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Did you notice what his credit name was at the
No,
end?
not all.
The king in yellow.
Interesting.
Now, there have also been some other things that have been noticed about the show that I can briefly talk about. Like each character, especially each main character, has a certain tie in with tarot cards.
What do you mean?
So, uh, Jack, I want to say, the dad, Jim.
Jim?
Jim is supposed to be the upside down knight because in uh, I wish I had Tabitha's flashback of the lighthouse, she turns around and finds him hanging upside down.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have gotten any of that.
I wouldn't have gotten any of that either, but you also have like the crazy lady who uses the tarot cards and like the raven attacks and all that crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
So there's clearly
Maybe.
something that has to do. I kind of interpreted that as like doing voodoo stuff in a voodoo place is a bad idea. Uh, but like, there's clearly some tie into that. You have like, oh, the black guy that came on the bus. What's
Wait.
his name?
Oh, what is his name? Uh,
Ellis?
Elgin.
Elgin. Elgin. Yeah, Elgin. Elgin gets his eye knocked out by Sarah.
Yeah.
And if you look at when Jade saw the Civil War guys, there was a guy with his eye knocked out. And then you went to season two, and there was the guy who was offering the skull to drink from, also had an eye thing and was also black.
Hmm.
So, like, we've seen some stuff. We've seen some stuff. We have some answers. And I don't think the monsters just want to kill, right? Like, why is Randall alive? Because I think Randall is a reincarnated person and his role is important to whatever the King in Yellow is doing.
That's interesting. That's cool. That's cool. That actually makes me like the show a little bit better. Some of
Uh,
these things you dug into, honestly.
there's a ton of stuff. So, like the branding that is found on the medical equipment in the ambulance
Yeah,
is not a real company and is the same name as some Cthulhu story that features the King in Yellow, is what they call him.
that's really cool.
And
That's
he's
very
known
cool.
as Doctor, whatever that name of equipment is. Anyway,
Okay. That makes me have more hope that they actually are going to plan out this whole thing. And I hope they do. That's cool. Um, anyway, with the animals, I thought the scene where they were breaking Boyd and they killed the animals was extremely effective. Very good horror. I thought the scene with the Raven was very good. Like, excellent horror, very creepy, like, actually horrific.
yeah,
Um,
they did a better job than the show The Crow.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of
Not
the
that
best
that's a hard beat,
things I've
hard
seen.
thing to beat, but
The crows thing is rough. I think the Kenny's dad or Kenny's mom dying is like one of the best moments of the show. They did a very good job, and you really feel for Kenny because you love Kenny. He's like the one person that you're rooting for, maybe the most in the show, and she dies, which I actually didn't think they were going to kill her. I didn't think
oh,
that was
I
going to happen.
100% did.
You did?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to kill her.
Kenny's too good. So Kenny, his role in the show is that he represents hope, love, justice, and innocence.
Yeah, and
And
you have
how
to
do you
break Kenny.
break someone like that? Is you take everyone that you love away from them. That is the only way, right? Which is why another reason I thought that they were going to take Boyd
Because
or
that would have
finally kill
crushed
Boyd
him.
is because now you've killed Kenny's real dad, you've killed his mom, and now you're going to make Kenny watch them break Boyd, the surrogate father, and then finally take that away from him too.
And then everyone is gone. So do you think they'll kill him next season? They'll kill Boyd?
I think for no other reason than he's clearly the most expensive actor that they have would be a pretty good indication for that. At this point, honestly, no, I think they're going to finish. They've said that this is going to be a 5 season show.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They've only been greenlit for season 4, but like the plan is 5 seasons.
Okay.
As if that means anything. Uh, but yeah, Kenny, you love Kenny. I don't think he's the one I'm rooting for the most. I don't think I would go that far.
It's either her or the daughter, or him and or the daughter. It's one of those two for me.
Uh, for me, my number one character that I'm rooting for is Dr. Chick.
Really? Okay. Huh.
Yeah. My problem with Kenny is he's too complacent,
Okay.
right? And Dr. Chick, while I have a lot of problems with her character because she's supposed to be this medical student and knows everything medical as if she's been doing it for 100 years,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like,
she's done 3 years of medical school, so she's almost graduated, but still.
yeah. But still, she's doing the thing on Fatima, and she's like, oh, it's called this. And they're like, what does that mean? And she's like, well, it's called phantom pregnancy and hysterical woman. And it's like, okay, if it's that rare, you're not just gonna know that after 3 years of medical school.
I thought
And
that too. I think that would have been better coming from the girlfriend character
the
where she
nurse,
works
yeah,
with pregnancy all the
yeah.
time.
Uh, and it's just like she knows everything about Parkinson's, and she knows everything about like. I get it. They kind of need somebody to know the real world medical stuff,
Yeah.
but she's like a psychology expert. She's a medical expert. She's a surgical expert. She hasn't done her residencies yet.
Yeah, she's just in school.
She just finished school. She was about to do her residency. She hasn't actually experienced these things, and like that is a problem. I get it, but she like clearly wants to get out. She clearly has honest motivation, and she's not complacent. But she knows what her role is in this town, and yeah, she's my number one. I absolutely root for her. My number two is Julie, the daughter,
Okay.
mostly because she's the story walker or time traveler person,
Which is very interesting.
which is super interesting because of the time travel paradox of like, well, they can't just go back in time now, can they? They have to break the cycle now, but how do you break the cycle? But she can story walk and time travel, so it's a whole thing. And one of the videos I was watching was talking about how he thinks that she can't control the time travel or stories, and maybe
Kind
that's
of
what
like
the
you fall
bottles are
into the
for.
tree and you end up where you're going to go. She
Yeah,
just has to fall into time and end up where she's going to go.
yeah, and they're basing that solely off of how she was like, "This is when it happens when her
Yeah.
dad dies." Right? She was surprised by that. Um, yeah, there's a whole lot of interesting stuff. I'm super interested in Acosta. I hate her, but I'm super interested. She's the new cop.
Oh, yeah, she sucks. She's super
Yeah,
annoying.
she's super annoying. The current theory is that Boyd is gonna die, and Kenny and Acosta are gonna become the new sheriff and deputy.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, not Acosta. She sucks.
Yeah.
I think Ellis, Boyd's son, would be the obvious choice to kind of take up a deputy type role in the town because he's clearly like a leader. He just doesn't take on any leadership roles, but he leads the people. So I kind of feel like that's that, unless they're going to kill Donna and he's going to take over that role.
That's kind of what I thought would happen, to be honest.
I thought that's where Fatima was going to come in. I thought she was going to
Okay.
become the new Donna and Ellis was going to become the new Boyd. But actually, no, Kenny's going to become the new Boyd. Ellis is going to become the new Kenny. But we
Okay.
don't know. It's all
I
just
think
theories.
Alice becoming the Donna is more what I would go with, but
Maybe. I don't know. I also was really rooting for Jim.
really,
Yeah. He's
I've
just the
wanted
dad
Jim
who's
to
trying to
die
keep
for
it
a
together.
long time. I've been
He's
like, kill
just the
that
dad
guy.
trying to keep it together.
Oh, it's a bit annoying to me, and I've been like, kill him dead.
I know you wanted Jade to die, but like Jim is just the dad.
He, there were moments that he bugged me. I was thinking he might die in the house. I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but I gave it a small chance. And I was like, I kind of hope they kill the dad and let all the other characters develop through. I was totally fine with the dad dying. I The biggest surprise to me was the Randall not dying and the fact that I don't completely hate Randall after this season. That's
Oh, I do completely hate Randall. Randall
just
has not at all been redeemed. What has he
oh,
done to be redeemed?
the whole driving with the daughter was a little bit of a redeeming quality to me. Seems like he's being less of an asshole and trying to actually work with people and not be completely prick. Like, I don't completely hate him. First season 2, I was like, why don't you shoot him? He's not worth keeping around. Shoot him in the face. And now I'm like, don't shoot him. Let's see where he goes.
Shoot him. Okay, I did not get that at all. I didn't see him being a team player at all through that. I saw him hitting on the 18-year-old girl.
Oh, that's what you thought it was? I didn't see that. No.
That
I
was
saw him.
100% what it was.
I did not get that vibe.
Where was he being a team player?
Um,
He saddled up to her, he started flirting with her, and then he was like, "Oh, you've never driven before? Let me take you driving." Like, he doesn't help anybody out. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't try and find answers. And when he's provided the opportunity, and Julie is literally like, "Let's see what's going on with this place," he's like, "But I'm scared."
But dude, the guy's been being tortured again and again and again and again. Like it's just guy's getting wrecked.
But he
Absolutely
deserves
wrecked.
it. He's a dick.
He has been a dick.
He
He
is a
has been.
dick. Like, let's assume for a second
Okay.
that I am right.
Okay.
That makes him a predator hunting on a minor.
Yes, if that's the case, you are completely right. He should die a miserable, awful death. I just didn't get the whole he's hitting on the 18. I think if they would have done that, he would have actually tried something when they're in the middle of the woods
I think he was going to, and then he got
until
freaked out by the place.
the cicadas attacked him or
Yeah,
whatever. I didn't think that, but I could be wrong.
that was
I'll be honest, I
100% what
could
I
be wrong.
thought. 100% what I thought. Like, A, he stole the car.
Yeah.
B, he wasn't like it was. That's what I saw. I also see the same thing with the black kid actually,
The black
Elgin.
kid is absolutely doing that.
He's
The
one
black
hundred
kid I
percent
thought was
doing
doing
it
that the
too.
entire time.
Uh, which makes me not like him very much either. But like, yeah, that's 100% what's going on here.
I
One
don't
hundred
know.
percent.
It's possible. I'll leave it as a possibility. It's possible. I didn't get that vibe. I did get that from the black guy completely, 100%. Um, but we'll see how that goes. I don't know for sure. I don't know. Anyway, my let's see what else I got. I got a lot of stuff in this one. Um, this is a almost not even worth bringing up, but Christie's haircut is terrible. I don't know why they did that, but it sucks. Um, and the whole food going bad, like, did the food go bad specifically so they could feed Fatima to recreate this whatever the hell they are that died so that they could rebirth them? Like, was that all planned out?
Yes,
Um, you think that was all planned?
I know that was
Okay.
right. So that builds off of the whole like even before I did the theories, but like when I started looking up these theories and seeing what people were analyzing and seeing, it's like this whole place is built on these cycles,
Yeah.
and there's certain aspects to the monsters like how most of them show up in pairs of male and female and xyz whatever, that it's like it needs to have this many monsters for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And just like the people come back reincarnated, the monsters also have the way that they need to be reincarnated. Um, so there's the king in yellow. I agree with the theories that say we don't think he's actually the big bad of the things, but he's going to be the face of the big bad.
That makes
Um,
sense to me.
so whatever is going on in this cycle, right, for eternal life, needs these monsters and needs a certain number of people, so it can continue on. So they have to revive the monster, reincarnate him, so that they can do this. So they poisoned the thing. They gave her a Jesus pregnancy. They did all of those things.
I That's interesting. I honestly wondered if the creatures were the kids, but I obviously got that wrong.
They're the parents of the kids.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were the kids grown up before we got that revealed to us. That is interesting, and I wonder, like, why did they become the monsters when some of these people that are getting reincarnated didn't become the monsters, and they also sacrificed their kid? How
Okay,
does that all work?
so here's where theory time steps in. I'm going to
Okay.
give you the one I'm most compelled to.
Okay.
If you look at the cave painting, when Jade and Tabitha are down there, or not
Mhm.
Jade, Victor and Tabitha are down there, and read it left to right, there are There's the children were sacrificed on the stones that Jade sees
Yeah.
in the cave so that the parents could achieve eternal life, which the parents then turned into the monsters.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the cave painting, you have the original 12, but there are two stick figures on the opposite side of Jade's symbol in the painting. And that is theorized, and I'm compelled to agree that that is representative of Jade and Tabitha. That they were the two parents who said no.
Then why would Fatima come back and some of these others that are possibilities of being reincarnated people also?
So I don't think everybody in the town is reincarnated,
Okay.
right? So Jim, for example, I think is because he happened to be with Tabitha when Tabitha had to come back,
Yes, that makes sense.
right? I think that that's the case for most of the people, but like they obviously needed Julie and Randall and the nurse chick because they seem to be important. So I think they're reincarnated,
Okay.
right? And then everybody else who was on the bus just happened to be on the bus, right? There was a theory that talked about how people who weren't reincarnated, how they think that when they use the tree, that stuff like them getting stuck in the pool wall is what happens to those who are not reincarnated.
That's interesting. That's very
But
interesting.
those who are reincarnated who step through a wall or step through a tree don't have that happen. Now, I don't agree with that one. I'm more inclined with, again, going back to the cave paintings and like the paintings in the basement and like Victor's drawings and Victor's mom's drawings and everything. There's clearly stuff that has to do with a moon. There's a map that's happening, right? And there's the numbers. I think that there are dates and times that are important. That if you step through these things or do these things at a specific day or time, or like on a full moon, for example,
Certain
will
effects.
put you somewhere specifically. And if they figure that out, they can use the trees to get out.
With this theory, you had Victor who was trying to get the puppet because the guy who owned the puppet was extremely useful at the beginning, and from the look of it, the puppet guy has become one of these Walking Dead people. It sure seemed like it. You have the guy who's dressed all in white, just like the puppet guy is, that you've seen multiple times, and he was right next to the puppet when they went and got the puppet. You don't think that's him?
Nope.
Okay.
A, it's a different actor. B, the theory is that's the reincarnation, that Jade is the reincarnation of him. So for
Okay.
that sequence of cycle, Martha, Victor's mom,
Yes.
was Tabitha,
Yes.
and the puppet was the puppet owner guy. What is now Jade?
So is the kid that was sacrificed Victor's sister?
No, Victor's sister is alive.
So what was the kid that was sacrificed? If that so it
The
did
very first. So the kids that say Akui,
yeah.
those were all the kids that were sacrificed because
Yeah.
there are six of them and 12 parents.
So the
And
Tabitha and
there's
Jade characters were originally sacrificed in 17, whatever it is, and they just happened to be those people during that time. And they weren't together during
so
that reincarnation.
so Jade and Tabitha, yeah, they were married. They were a couple. Their kid got sacrificed against their will. They were the two parents that said, "No, we don't want eternal life. We stand against this."
But this is the in the original time period of the 17, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and they just happened to be back at that time. Um, this is something where I might have gotten it confused, but I thought the father was there at the From Village, whatever you want to call it. Wasn't he the one that shut the doors and locked the sister and the brother, their sister and Victor downstairs in the basement? And the sister went to chase after him. Was that not the dad?
What?
Do you remember that scene?
What are you talking about?
So there's a scene where he is in the where Victor is in the closet downstairs and he's talking to his sister. I thought it was the dad that went away and said, "Stay here, be safe." And the sister is like,
That
"No,
was the
I
mom. That was
failed." That was
Martha.
mom. Okay, I was confusing that completely then.
Yeah, no, that was his mom. His mom said goodbye, and then we had
Okay,
the scene that they realized uh, that he wasn't alone, right? That his sister was there,
yeah,
and then we have the scene where the sister left the um,
the shelter,
cellar.
stellar
That's where
basement.
it's a cellar.
Yeah,
Uh, that's why I was confused. So the sister leaves the cellar, and
mhm.
then we have the scene where Victor says there wasn't very much of her, but we think this is her. And then you have the TV thing that, like, unless you actually see a character die, they're not actually dead.
Yeah,
And we
that's
also
true.
have clues like she's excellent at hide and seek. So one of the videos that I watched said they think that she is the person who was tending the garden by the lake.
Interesting.
But because she's so psychologically terrified and isolated, she hides from the people that come, not just the monsters. So we don't actually see her, but that explains why there is a garden there and why it's maintained and why all of
So
those.
they don't think this is going to be one of my questions. They don't think the sister is the woman's voice who's trying to help them out because that's kind of what I thought.
No, I'm not sure what woman's voice you're talking about, but usually the woman's voice that is heard and not shown has been the actress who plays Boyd's wife.
I didn't know if that was always the case.
That's the case as far as I know it. I don't
Okay.
know if it is always the case, but Boyd's wife has been heard multiple times.
Hmm.
Right? You have the boy in white, you have Victor's wife. There's something significant about boats, right? So there's a theory that the way out of the town is down the river on the lake. It's the only way out. I've seen some other ones, but boats are important for whatever that counts for. There's boats in on the cave paintings. Boyd's painting doesn't have the boat. When Boyd was in the upside down chimney, his son appears and asks about the boat. The picture that is taken is his house, but the boat is missing. So something to do with boats. I don't know what it is, but there's something to do with
Something to do with
boats.
boats. Interesting. Very cool. I did overall like this season. I liked what they did with Fatima a lot. That was probably my highlight of the season. I thought it was really good. Um, I thought the breaking of Boyd with having to cover for Fatima was very good writing. It was well done. The connection to the kid was really good. The connection with Fatima and the mother is very interesting. There's just a lot of good stuff. My kind of last question is: would it be satisfying if everyone got out of this place and it was destroyed, but all of the questions weren't answered?
Yes.
That would be satisfying to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it would
Specifically
be.
with that caveat of all of the answers are not given, right? I think you need to have some, but I think a trap that some of these shows fall into is they try and explain everything, and in their explanations create issues,
That's fair enough.
right? Like we've talked about time travel previously, and
Yeah,
how I prefer it when they don't always explain time travel because it creates issues in the logic of time travel when they try and explain it.
that
So
does happen.
I'm okay with not all of the answers being answered. I need some important ones, and I need to have enough information that I believe that the cycle won't repeat again.
Okay. I actually completely agree. Stephen King's books, in my opinion, either work or don't based on how many answers we get and whether we think the situation is actually solved. And some of his books, like It, for example, I don't feel like are very satisfying ends or feel like anything is complete. It's just weird and it doesn't all work out. But some of his books, like Salem's Lot, give you a solid answer but doesn't answer all of the questions and are left extremely satisfying. And hopefully this show can pull that out. I have some hope. I have some hope that they can do it. And I'm excited for season 4. Where are you at looking forward to the show?
Okay, so my thoughts that I put together after
Yeah.
reading some of your questions were I'm still highly interested in the show. I still
Okay.
want to know more and get more answers.
Okay.
I'm in shock that the dad died, Jim. Like, I still don't know about that. I've seen a number of theories that think they're going to use time travel to bring him back because he does seem kind of important. Don't really know. Um,
Possible.
we'll see. I don't really believe in that. I think he's dead. Uh, I thought that they would kill Boyd, Jade, or Acosta, or just wanted them to kill Acosta, probably, honestly. Um, season 3 really wasn't as good to me. I don't know why, though. The ending is very good, but I feel
I
like the
agree.
first part isn't as good. Uh, at this point in the story, I'm exhausted by it, honestly. Uh,
Okay.
I don't think that's a good sign for the show, but if you're at this point in the story and your audience is like, I'm okay with waiting 2 years,
That's a bad thing.
that's usually not a good thing, especially since it does end in like a cliffhanger. Like, you should want your audience to be like, oh man, I'm so excited, I really want to know. And I'm sitting here like, thank goodness I get a break from this. Like, this has burnt me out. I feel like I have no energy after this. I know we get a season 4 that has been greenlit, but I'm happy that there's a break, and I hope that my ADHD brain doesn't let me forget this show, even though I am happy to have a break. But that's not a great sign.
Do you want season 4 to just be the end? Like answer the questions and be done?
I don't like answers or questions like that because
Okay.
I want them to tell the story as it's necessary.
Okay.
If that means 6 seasons, 7 seasons, 8 seasons, fine, but it needs to be good and you need to have a plan. You can't just try and drag it out and you can't try and condense it.
Do you feel like this season was dragged out?
No,
Okay.
right? Like, season 1 was like, I'm on the edge of my seat at basically every episode. I'm so excited about what's going on, right?
Yeah, especially with the whole house invasion thing. That was my like most intense part of season 1. But yeah.
Yeah, you're just so excited, right? You're, oh, I can just watch the next episode and the next episode and the next episode.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just so into this. And then season 2 happens and it has a little bit of that. And then it kind of like gets a little bit of a lull where they're just trying to give you information without telling you that that's what they're doing,
Yeah.
right? And then it kind of gets really exciting again at the end. And then I think season 3 is just here's some more information. And then the last 5 minutes is like, and now this is awesome. And
Okay.
it's like, okay. I'm sure, like, I'm at a point where I believe that even when I'm not necessarily as entertained, that this show is giving information.
Okay.
That's my hope. And again, because of my deep dive into the theories and stuff, and not necessarily what the theories are, but what people have observed and what
Mhm.
people are making out of it is enough for me to have faith that they have a bigger plan with all of this stuff. And I think when they finish the show and you go back and rewatch it, you're going to have moments where you're like, oh, I see that now. Oh, that makes this part way better. And oh my gosh, this is so much more interesting. And all of those really good things for shows like this. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
For me, season 3 and 2 are pretty even, actually.
Oh, I think season two was a lot more interesting
Okay.
overall. Or not more interesting, more consistently interesting.
Okay.
Mostly because you had Randall going off the rails, Jade going off the rails. So while it was giving you a lot of information and there were some more slow parts, there was somebody who was always exciting, right? And then season three, it's not really that way till the end.
Okay. Yeah, I was interested in like the outside world stuff at the beginning, and then Boyd's struggles as he's losing it, and I actually really liked the breakdown of the older grouchy lady, whatever her name is.
Donna.
Yeah, I liked the breakdown of Donna, and then the whole pregnancy thing with Fatima I thought was really interesting.
It was
And
interesting, but it was slow paced.
it was
Like they
there was
spent
enough.
half of their screen time for the entire season on her pregnancy.
Probably true. Probably true. Maybe it was a little too much,
Right, and like I do believe that all of the details and everything that they were showing was 100% necessary.
but it was a little too much.
But
Like
like when you're watching it, you're like, okay,
like
I've already seen her eat nasty stuff 3 times. Is the fifth time really
really necessary.
necessary for me?
With season 2, you had like Randall that I just hated and was like, why don't you shoot this guy? He's wasting our time. He's wasting everyone's time. Kill him. And in this one, you had less of that with the cop. It was just a shorter amount. So it kind of evened it up for me. Because there's that, I think I even wrote it down, where she goes in and she like demands her gun. And I'm like, you have no rights in this place. What are you talking about? You've earned crap. And you're supposed to be a cop who's taught how to negotiate. That is not how you negotiate. He's just going to shoot you in the face. And guess what? Everyone else in this entire town is going to be like, yay, we hate you. I'm glad she's dead. You're being stupid. You're being dumb.
Yeah, I
That was like
hated
that
that scene
one.
with her asking for the gun too.
It's
Not
terrible.
because she needed to negotiate, but because she is a first time cop. It's like well established. She's fresh out of the academy,
Yeah.
which means she's freshly on the mind of respecting authority.
Yep.
And here is Boyd, the authority, and you're acting better than him.
The authority in a place that is absolutely horrifying, where it's not like Randall, where you really haven't seen any of the horror yet. You've just heard it. You saw the horror. Like you saw your coworkers getting ripped to pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really irritated me too. I really hate Acosta. I think she sucks.
I agree. And she was the Randall of this season.
Randall was the Randall of this season, but like, get what you mean.
Yeah. Anyway, and she was just a lot like less of a screen time presence than Randall was, but she was also just annoying. Just probably more annoying. I don't know. They were both pretty bad. I don't know.
They were, but here's the difference, right? In season two, I was annoyed by Randall, but I was excited to see him die.
Yeah,
So I
and you
was
like
still interested in that kind of stuff. And while I hated him tying up Donna was very interesting.
yes, and it was all at least kind of believable. Where the cop thing, I was like, no, nope,
Yeah. Yeah.
nope. Anyway, I am excited for next season. It seems like I might even be a little bit more. I feel like I wasn't as pumped about season 2 for season 3 as you were, but I might be a little bit more pumped for season 4.
Well, I mean, like we're
Just
gonna see,
surprising.
right? Like I think if I have some time, right,
Yeah.
I think by the time season 4 actually gets here, late 2026 at the earliest,
Yeah.
I'll be ready for some more of this and to get back into it. And I can probably rewatch some of season 3 and be more excited about it. But yeah, no, I mean, season 3 was still good, right? I still liked it. For me, it was still like a 7.5 out of 10,
Okay.
right? Like I still enjoyed it. It was just like
Probably what I would rate it to.
at the end of the day, I'm okay with having a break.
Fair enough. I'd probably do about 7.5 too. And guys, I think that is our episode. We appreciate you watching. This was kind of a long one. See you guys.